he's acting like a sniper who missed his shot, and it's like, I don't have another bullet.
I only brought
And
one.
he's just standing there while like all this small arm fire is coming towards his perch. And like, if I get hit, I get hit. I didn't bring a bullet. Like, this wasn't part of the plan.
Welcome to Castles of Runeterra, episode 179. I'm your host, Ryan. Here's the other host, Ed.
That's right. It's your favorite podcast brought by 10-year-olds. We're as young as we've ever been. I'll never die.
That's the beer talking. All right, we cracked a couple open for this episode in celebration of recent events. But housekeeping is an event that always comes about. So you can listen to us everywhere. Visit us at podcastcore.com for all of our info. Email us at podcastcore@gmail.com. Follow us on all the platforms. We appreciate it. That's helped us with discoverability. Leave a like and comment wherever you listen the most. Once again, we appreciate that. But word of mouth has gotten us to this point. So tell a friend to live in the sanctuary of shadows by listening to the Casuals of Runeterra podcast.
You know what? I'll have another drink to housekeeping. Let's do it.
Any excuse, right?
Hey!
So today we're picking up where we promised from last episode, which is the other Katarina / Talon story called The Name of the Blade. Now, we said, the reason we're doing it in this order is because this story depends on the previous one. So we highly recommend you listen to the last episode, right? 178. Before you listen to this one, it'll make more sense. But this one is written by a familiar face, Ian St. Martin. He's done great work. We've covered a bunch of their stories before. And as we mentioned up top, this is a story that's shared between Talon and Katarina. So for the title, we just gave it to Talon.
Yeah, it's going to be entirely from Talon's perspective, which is why we're giving it to Talon. But once we get into the meat and bones of the story, you'll understand why we say it's like it needs to be in that specific order, because especially even if you go read this story, if you don't read the first one, you will be lost. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, all the details are in the Katarina story, whereas Talon is just dealing with the philosophical.
We've talked about Talon being the other trainee that came up with Katarina and that relationship, which is, unique. And we'll talk a bit about it here, but we just want to bring that up at the top before we hop into it. So story best told in 3 parts. Let's hop into it. In the shadows, Talon watches as Katarina conducts the mission we spoke about in the previous episode. Once again, check that out. And he recognizes the foolishness of her approach to all of this, and also the foolishness of the guards who aren't really aware of her skills. And he predicts her movements and patterns as she's moving, because it was also taught to him the same. And in his mind, the way he sees her 2 skills is hers was given by birthright because of her father, and he had to earn those skills. So he kind of looks down upon her.
And as far as with him talking about these skills being a birthright versus something that was earned, like the very following sentence after he's thinking that is, I see her follow the principles of our teachings, and then I see her break them. So he clearly has opinions about this.
Yeah. And once, it's one of those things where once the target appears, so he's watching the fight, right? He's like, okay, cool. She's doing her thing. They should have known better because I would have known better. He kind of puts himself in their shoes. And then once the target appears, that's when he gets mad by her approach. Because there's like a gap, if you remember that story, there's a gap where she could reconceal herself as an assassin should. But he looks at, the noise, the arrogance, the wasted energy. And those are the things he sees in her as her weakness as she deals with this target. And he has to physically restrain himself from reacting in disgust at her quote unquote ambition.
And we don't see it in this story, but we know from the story that's actually describing the scene that Katarina is in right now, that Katarina is in the back of her mind going through the same teachings that Talon is thinking about right
Mhm.
now. And one of those teachings is never let the mark see you.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, here comes the target, and the target is calling out Katarina. That is the very opposite of not being seen.
So, we get a little bit of a flashback in his mind here to when he was younger, when he was a child. And he talks about, growing up in the bottom rungs of society, watching ambitious people as they rise on the efforts of those beneath them. And, once they reach high enough, they become the target of those they use to get there. Right. Classic story. So since then, he's kind of learned this concept of the sanctuary of shadows, where, and I'm stealing that, by the way, for a way to live life. Um, and he feels that, this has kept him alive, where he stays out of the spotlight. He's still a capable person. He's still a useful person. And he has quote unquote notoriety, but he doesn't need everyone to know who he is to be satisfied. And for that, it buys him more time in a occupation that doesn't really allow you to live pretty old.
Yeah, and I just do want to point out that you don't have trademark rights because the Sanctuary of Shadows is what I call my room.
Okay.
I I've worked night shift for like 5 years. I black
Okay.
out curtains. I never want to see daylight again. All right, this is the Sanctuary of Shadows.
Part two. So Talon continues to watch her, and he thinks back to a cold night in a forest as he's waiting for her to appear. So we get a little bit of a flashback here. And he's followed the smell of a recent battle that's kind of sticking to her. So once again, she's sloppy. And he tracked her after a recent failure. And he would be the price that she would have to pay for that failure.
And this is actually a really cool throwback to Katarina's bio,
Mm-hmm.
which it has been a very long time since
Yeah.
we've covered her bio. But with her bio, we do know that like the big separation between her and her father's organization was the failure of killing a target that is a Noxian general
Mm-hmm.
who was rumored to be in the pocket of Swain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is going back into that bio. So this is going to be like either on the outskirts of or somewhere secluded within a Noxian military camp where this is happening.
Yep. And Talon in this moment, he's a planner. Unlike Katarina, which Katarina does go in with a plan, but it can change, and she kind of likes that chaos. But he believes he's nailed this plan to make her pay. And when he descends from this tree, there's no sound when he makes his strike. And then there's this trail of blood to him, which means he was successful in his mark. And he looks back to see, okay, which trophy am I going to take? Hair, an eyeball, her blades. But when he looks back, she's still standing and her hands over her eye, and she's pissed.
And he's just as pissed too because that is not what was in the plan. And the plan is very detailed because even within this story, uh, Talon's remarking how he has adjusted his plan for the grade of the hill on which he will be descending once he leaves this tree. Like the plan was perfect. Which means if it's perfect, she's dead. So how dare you stand there alive before me?
Yeah, he's very on the spectrum. The strike. So the one strike was supposed to kill her. He ends up screaming at her, which this is the first time it's pulling him out of his character because this isn't what he does. Right, this is not how he behaves. And she doesn't even respond. She just starts throwing them hands immediately. She dashes toward him with her blades, and she fights in this blur of passion, which both makes him angry but also fascinates him. And for Talon, his fighting style, he's trying to dodge everything, missing near fatal blows from her as she's just going ham.
And for him, it's not even a fight at this point. It is a obsession with trying to understand what Katarina is doing.
Yeah.
Because one, he can't understand why she's alive.
Yeah.
Because the plan. But on top of that, it is just so out of his character. Like, it's for him, it's like there's one strike, one kill, one shot, one kill.
Yeah.
So he's acting like a sniper who missed his shot, and it's like, I don't have another bullet.
I only brought
And
one.
he's just standing there while like all this small arm fire is coming towards his perch. And like, if I get hit, I get hit. I didn't bring a bullet. Like, this wasn't part of the plan.
So Talon actually gets caught up in her momentum. And it's this weird dance of sorts. Even though he has these opportunities to strike, he never takes them because now he's doubting himself as well, right? Because the plan, right? Like Hedge is mentioning, that sniper missed. I didn't bring another bullet. So even though there's these moments where he could strike and possibly kill her, he doesn't. And suddenly he decides to put his blade away, and then she stops. And even though she's angry and they finally have a little chat, makes it known that she's willing to atone for her sins. She understands why he's here, and that's where we end part 2.
Yeah, and this is where it's like their ideologies are completely different, right? Because Talon wants her to atone for her sins. For her to atone for her sins, she needs to die.
Yeah.
But now Talon feels like he must atone for his sins, which is the plan failed, which means I can't kill her. And I think like Katarina's just sitting off to the side and just like, well, this is my weird, quiet friend. And this is just how he is.
Yeah, it's one of those things of like, and actually we'll get into it in general discussion because this dynamic is fun, right? It's not unique, but it is fun. How they play, how this is written, how their interactions are written, and how the relationship progresses.
Yeah, we'll get into that with the discussion because I definitely have comments.
But in part 3, she knows that her father sent this assassin, right? But she actually doesn't know his name. She's familiar with him, doesn't know his name. And he mentioned that, oh shit, I didn't have one of those either. Because to him, a name never mattered because he kills in one strike. So you never have to give it. It's not a samurai situation, right? And Katarina, because of her personality, will not let this go. So he thinks about it. He ends up giving her a name that he had back in the day in what he considers the dark days under the Empire. And that name, as we know, is Talon.
And this is him thinking back as far as to his origins, which we have alluded to on the show before. And even if we haven't, I alluded to it on this episode, that it is the classic street urchin to assassin pipeline, right? Like it is a trope as old as time. And back when he was a kid in the gutter, before Katarina's dad finds him and trains him, he was just a pickpocket known as Talon, right? Like, and that for him, it's like, okay, well, that's not my name. Like, that's all that I remember.
He's too busy remembering all the training, like by the letter of the law.
He's too busy planning his next one strike.
Yeah, the employee handbook is baked into his mind and nothing else. So he continues to watch her. Now we're back in the present, right? He continues to watch her dismantling her opponents while placing himself in their position of like, oh, you missed that strike. You should have got her here. He's kind of seeing the gaps in her movements because he's so familiar with them. He's been watching her so long. And he notices that she's taking small opportunities between each kill to admire it and smirk a little bit. He can see she's getting pleasure out of it, and that also pisses him off. And Talon is not quite sure now if she knows he's there and watching her. So he waits and he continues to hold his breath completely, not moving a muscle.
I've rotted my brain too much because at this point, I don't know if this is something that you're familiar with, Ryan. I'm sure at least one of our listeners out there knows this, but there's a internet program called Smosh, and they have a character known as The Chosen. And that's all I could hear when I see Talon, especially in this one scene. It's just, he's up in a corner somewhere going, well, he missed that strike. I would have landed it perfectly.
The classic meme of I'd win. So we wrap up part 3, and the story here with Katarina, her smile is gone because she's now done doing the thing that she was enjoying, and she disappears down a corridor. And Talon allows himself finally to take a very slow breath, and for the first time reveals the blade that he's had, and he starts spinning it around and thinking to himself, and he continues to wait as he does this thing where he just follows Katarina around the world. But he's waiting again for the day that he's given the order to make her pay that price again. And he reveals that even though he doesn't have a name, he gave his blade a name, and it's Katarina. Ew.
Wait, hang on a second. Hang on. Okay, let me push up the glasses real quick. Yeah. I'm the chosen. You have spent all of your time killing innocents. I have practiced the blade. I will strike you down, Katarina.
With Katarina.
As she finally leaves the room, and he goes, "Oh, I can breathe again."
So this takes us to general discussion. And essentially the gist of it is, this is a pretty simple dynamic. We've seen this before in other stories, but it's an effective one for the relationship between these two champions. Because they've kind of gone above and beyond by making Talon very unique in his approach here, very letter of the law, while Katarina is obviously the antithesis to him, right? And what makes this interesting is that Talon is antisocial because of this personality trait, whereas Katarina is sort of antisocial because she's so abrasive, and that gives them a similarity in a weird way.
Yeah, abrasive and headstrong.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's a good bit of stubbornness
Mhm.
on her part. And with the previous Katarina story that we covered on our last episode, it's something that was very core to her current identity, and the fact that under Swain she's able to be herself. So it is the extremes of both sides of the coin, but they are on the same coin, which is the letter of the law, right?
Mhm.
Where for Katarina, the pure chaos and breaking away from the letter of the law is what has liberated her and freed her. Like this is how she can live her best life, is by breaking the law that was given to her before, the law being like her training under her dad.
Mhm.
For Talon, it's very clear that the law is what saved him, right? Like it is within the law is how I can live my best life. And that best life is the pursuit of the edge, is what he calls it. And that edge being perfection, right?
Mhm.
So they are both on the same coin of the law, and one of them is just pure chaos, while one of them is purely like letter of the law, and that's it. So it's like a paladin versus an oathbreaker paladin.
Exactly. Perfectly said. And for this story, it is a shorter one. It's a quick one. So we'll leave it there and give you a short one to, chew on a bit. So as always, thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon with the next episode.
Wait, I thought we were going to have a 10-minute discussion about how Katarina is like the best girl, not only in like fantasy, but just like the ideal for what anyone would want in life, right?
No.
Are we not going to have that 10-minute
No, we're not
discussion?
doing that. We're not going to feed. Listen here, Talon.
15 minutes.
We're not going to feed your sick obsession. Did you name your mic Katarina? Free us, Hatch. Free us.
Don't worry, I'll make it grow someday. All right, take care, everybody.